Hello folks and welcome to the Vertigo Tea Party, and let's try The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing 3. It's developed and published by Neo Core Games. You can pick it up for $14.99 on Steam. For Windows, Steam Play, and Mac, it supports multiplayer, co-op, Steam Achievements, has full controller support, Steam trading cards, and leaderboards. So there's a lot to cover in this game. However, I want to just pick up with the action first so you can see what the game is like, and then back out and start digging deeper into the mechanics and what you can do in this game. This is an action RPG. It is quite like Diablo. This is just our base here. I'm going to go back to where I was before. But it's similar to Diablo, and I will be making several Diablo comparisons, I'm sure. Keep in mind, just because I say, oh, it doesn't have this like Diablo, or does this different from Diablo, doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's different. And the reason I tend to compare games to other games that people are familiar with is because, well, they're familiar with it, and it gives people a good base to compare things to. So let's go ahead and start. There are different classes. I'm actually playing the, I forget what it's called, like a builder. Basically, my army here are these machines that I can build on the go. It's pretty neat. It's basically like a pet class. So far, I've been enjoying it quite a bit. But again, I want to show you at least 10 to 15 minutes of gameplay here so you can get a rough idea of what things are like. We're fighting a bunch of vampires here. Let's see if we can't just pull these guys off separate so we can not get a whole lot of enemies at once. I'm playing on, I think, normal difficulty. I think there's 4 difficulties total. We'll check that in just a minute. Of course, we want to stay back because we are pretty weak by ourselves. Oh, and I think all of our little buddies are dead, so we're going to summon some more here in a second. They're not all dead. Those little crab type things. Let's go ahead and throw our ice beam out there. Those flying bats are the bane of my existence. Like, I can't figure out how you're supposed to avoid it. Like, I always just take damage because it's like a cloud of bats that they throw out. Like, he just did it again. So summon our robot guys again because a lot of them have died, and we need to have them as a barrier. Enemies are kind of dumb in that it seems like once they've picked a target, they'll never pick another target again. It's not necessarily true because obviously you saw him move. Oh wow, I died. Now this picks up, this kind of hits on one of my very first complaints about this game. Now I had this issue specifically with Diablo to a lesser extent. I don't know why in the world I went here, but I had this problem with Diablo as well for a while, and I still have it every now and then. But a lot of times I have a very hard time figuring out what's hitting me at any specific time. Like, a lot of times I'm taking damage and I don't really know why, or I all of a sudden get the notice that I'm very close to death, and I'm almost like, wait, what was hitting me in the first place? Like, I have no idea.
Property of the Daily Stagecoach Robbery Association.
It's a lot of like tongue-in-cheek humor. This game obviously doesn't take itself very seriously. Sometimes a little bit too much. Like, I appreciate like the joking and the, like, you know, not taking yourself seriously and being cheeky, but it's like almost every single conversation there has to be a joke of some kind. Like, they're desperately trying not to take themselves seriously. It's not a big deal, and like I said, it's got its own charm for sure, but it can get a little old. But yeah, a lot of times, and this could just be a problem I have, but a lot of times I just don't know what I'm taking damage from. The flying bats can be, you know, like I said, they are a problem just because I can't figure out how to get away from them, so it's like free damage for the most part. But there's other things, like I say, I don't see what's damaging me at all. Like, I don't know what killed me there. I saw I got low from the bats and that one guy hitting on me, but then I died. I don't really quite know why. I think part of the problem is it seems like the effects kind of blend in with everything else. In games like Diablo, and again, I kind of warned you I'm going to make those comparisons. In games like Diablo, oh, we got some enemies pop up behind us. Interesting. So, but let me finish this thought, and then I'll kind of follow up. And this is where my little robot friends come in very handy, because they are blocking these guys off, so they can't even get to me if they wanted to. And I'll go over my abilities here in just a little bit, and we'll talk about how combat works. And like I said, you know, don't be turned off that this is very Diablo-like. There are definitely a lot of interesting mechanics that add some depth to this game that I find quite interesting. And if you really dig into it, it seems like there's a lot of cool ways to customize your character. But anyway, I think with games like Diablo, it makes it easier to see what's hitting you because like the graphics stand out. Like, so if there's like a poison field or you kill a molten enemy where it blows up right afterwards and hurts you, it's visually very, very obvious. With this game, everything's kind of muddy and everything just kind of blends in together. So sometimes it's hard for me to tell, again, like what's actually damaging me, and like especially when there's numbers flying everywhere and enemies everywhere and all this stuff going on. Sometimes it can be quite difficult to see like what exactly is it that's hurting me. But let's go ahead and again, this could be more of an issue I have because I've had this problem with other games as well. Completely other different genres too. I kind of go action blind where I can't see like this enemy here. Like he obviously wants to get me, and he spent like half that battle trying to get to me, but he was blocked. And I think like finally near the end he decided to attack something else, but by then it was a little bit too late. Let's go down here away from the main area. So let's talk about our abilities. First of all, we have down here is all my summons that I have. I've got the ice turrets, which I'll summon there. I have the rocket turret, which I will summon here. We can only have one rocket turret. We can have 3 ice turrets. The ice turret, you can see, shoots a beam, and over time it does more and more damage up to a maximum. These little guys here, these dismember bots, they just work like your standard, melee pets, basically. They attack your closest enemy, and that's pretty much all they do. They don't have any basic, they don't have any major bonuses, I don't think. The rocket launcher, this has a much longer cooldown, but it shoots longer range AE rockets, which is really nice. Over here, this thing you might be wondering about, this little floating platform, that's pretty interesting. You don't actually ever cast that. This is always following you. It does attack enemies, and you can upgrade it to have different abilities. If it dies, it automatically resummons in a minute. So let's listen to the cutscene.
We meet at last. If I can take my revenge on the father, his son will do. Big words from someone who has already lost Borgovia once. You can't lose something you never had, you fool. We were only the enforcers of the true master, the shadow behind the curtain, the deathless king of the land. You are lying. You didn't know how sweet. Your father tricked our master, stole the source of his power, and only then could he defeat us. And he was so ashamed that he didn't tell his own son.
I don't want to disturb the traditional showdown with a vampire, but that gaping hole must be the ink gate that Vlados mentioned.
Good. Let's deal with them and you can close it down.
Alright, so this is going to be a nastier enemy. Oh, God. See, this is the bat things that I cannot figure out how you're supposed to dodge. Like, I've tried to, oh, let me summon those. And like I said, the enemies kind of have a bad issue. They just want to beeline right on me. I got to remember to keep making those ice turrets. But yeah, we'll talk about my abilities a bit later when we're having kind of a less intensive fight here. See, again, I can't really get away from those bat things. We do have health potions, but I can't get away from these rats, so we're probably going to die again here. I'm going to summon that to try to at least distract them a little bit. We still need more health. Finally, the health potion respawned. Let's go ahead and throw the rockets here. Let's summon our... No, we can't summon our thing. God, that's a ton of rats. Wow. That's pretty insane. That is very, very, very insane. Alright, let's get our guys back up again. Now, whenever you kill enemies, I guess we'll talk about this while we're trying to get through this guy here. Hold on. Come on. There you go. Summon a new rocket. And this guy's just going to keep summoning rats, I think. Try to block him off with these ice things here. These ice turrets. Also block those rats off as well. Surround him with ice turrets. Let's focus on him to get him killed. Then, like I said, then we'll focus on, or we'll worry about talking about our abilities. We just kind of got him trapped in there now. Nice. Alright, so let's go all the way back. But yeah, this platform will auto resummon itself after a minute if it dies, which is pretty cool. We have our basic abilities here. We have the Ray. And keep in mind, this is all specific to this class. There are other classes as well. The Ray is kind of just a beam attack. Also, theoretically, your robotic units are supposed to prioritize enemies that you're using the Ray on. I haven't found that to necessarily be the case. They seem to just kind of attack whatever. Maybe I haven't noticed it as much, but they still seem to kind of attack randomly.
Remember how confident I was about closing the gate? Well, it might be a bit more difficult than I thought.
What do you mean by difficult? Should I run? Will Borgova survive?
It will be fine. You'd better step back, though. Blackgate, dissolve, and let this world be healed.
I like how he didn't step back. Alright, so then we need to go back. Let's talk to the Count. And this other ability here is just kind of a chain fire type deal. It's a spread fire. And it does every so often. Every 6 bullet explodes on impact, dealing damage to enemies within 2 meters. So that can be kind of handy.
When your father liberated Borgovia, he imprisoned the vampire princes in the impossible tombs. But somebody has broken the seals on their crypts, so they are swarming back to Borgova. Vita vengeance, obviously.
Then I will close those fancy tombs again.
The impossible tombs are in a pocket realm of the ink, where only the dead souls can go.
And how am I supposed to get there?
First, you have to die.
Don't get ahead of ourselves. Said realm, which is called the Nightmare Hollow, can be accessed from here through unique ink gates that only the mediums can open.
Splendid. Do you happen to know a good medium around here?
I might know someone. A lady they call Fata Morgana, who once helped me as a young ghost to stay.
Alright, we'll skip all this. Because frankly, most of the time if you're playing these games, you just want to kill stuff. Alright, so it's got some interesting story going on, but like I said, you mostly want to see the gameplay. And I was going to try to keep some of that in there, but that part went on a little bit long. So let's go ahead and hop in. And we need to talk about some of the more combat-y type stuff that's going on, especially some of the interesting things like how rage works. I keep wanting to call it adrenaline because it's yellow. And when I see yellow, I think adrenaline. Looks like this guy. Oh, wait. Nope. Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Dark Carnival presents for your entertainment the most magnificent spectacles, evil clowns, killer acrobatics, and mad
I don't quite get this bouncy thing that goes on here too every time you enter a cinematic. It just kind of moves up and down. I don't quite get why it does that. It's a little bit agitating. I wish it would just hold still.
My name is Van Helsing, and she is...
And here he is.
Alright, we're going to skip this. Of course I get to the most like dialogue heavy part in the game.
Look, a Domovoy in the ticket booth.
And the green arrow here indicates a quest. Alright, so yes.
Fine.
Alright. Yeah, again, sorry, it's not usually this much dialogue all at once, but we got apparently the most dialogue heavy part in the game. I don't mind dialogue, but again, when you're showing the game off, especially a game like this, you don't really care too much to see all that dialogue. So one important other thing about this game and the combat that I want to show you before we dig in, so I can show you what it is before I try to sit there and explain it while I'm doing it. You have health, which health goes away, you die, pretty obvious. Mana, your abilities, use mana, again, pretty obvious. So you might notice above these abilities, there's 3 like little circles. Those are power-ups. You have to pay skill points to unlock those, and we will definitely cover that. Like I said, there's a ton of mechanics and stuff to talk about here. But basically, you can spend rage to activate these abilities and then power them up. So, for example, this one's the most obvious. Let's go with this one. Constructor Frenzy. One more mechanical ally are created. If I want to power this up, it's in the A slot. So this is A slot, this is S slot, this is D. So I hit A, and you can see, oh, it has a 1 in it. Now you can power it up 2 more times, and now it powers it up to 3. So now I'll get 3 more mechanical allies. So we'll go ahead and use this. So it creates a lot of these little guys. That's one I use most often just because it's the most easiest to go through. Now, you get your rage. At least initially, most of your rage comes from killing enemies. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Not quite sure what was doing me damage there. That could have just been me not paying attention because I was trying to describe what was going on. Let's go ahead and get some ice turrets up there. I always forget to keep casting those ice turrets. They recast very quickly, which is, of course, nice for us. We're killing a circus elephant. That feels kind of bad, but it is what it is. So, yeah, you can keep building your rage. Again,
Helsing, the enemy has captured one of our key personnel. We must send a rescue mission.
All right, so you get those messages once in a while. Sometimes they don't quite make sense, because one time he was like, oh, our base is under attack. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went back to the base, and nothing was under attack. So I don't quite understand always what's going on there. Wow. I like these enemies, though. Wow. He still hit me. All right. Let's summon more of these guys. These tend to die your little helpers here tend to die very, very fast. Very fast. I even have upgrades to try to make them live longer, and they still die incredibly quickly. So they feel kind of weak, to be honest, just because, like I said, they die so fast. Because you saw how quickly they died to these little guys, and these guys aren't that nasty. Like, they're just the beginning of this area. I can't tell what level they are. I don't know if it's supposed to scale. And this is on normal difficulty, by the way. I was playing it on hard. You can change the difficulty, like, mid thing. I don't know why it keeps teleporting me there. It doesn't make any sense. It should be porting me here. But you have, like, a casual, normal, heroic, hard, heroic, fearless, and hardcore. Now, obviously, I can't do hardcore now. But when you create a character, you can do hardcore, which means if you die forever. So we're on normal right now, and these things are doing a ton of damage. So I don't know if we're supposed to be higher or something, but they are doing insane damage. And like I say, your bots die very, very quickly as well. So I'm not quite sure. See, look at that. Like, I just lost, like, over half my health in, like, one shot from that guy. So again, I mean, this guy's obviously not supposed to tank, but the damage some of these enemies do seems to be insane. See, look at that. All my mods or my little things are dead. So I don't know if, again, I don't know if maybe we're not supposed to be here yet. There's not like an indicator on the quest, like how high of a level it is or anything like that. Not that I've seen. But yeah, these guys are doing crazy, crazy damage, especially those little melee guys. But yeah, I really like the rage system, especially when you're killing a lot of enemies or if you're using abilities that themselves generate rage. It can keep you on your toes constantly, hitting S, S or D or whatever it is to power up your abilities. Now, if that sounds a little bit cumbersome, you can always see. That's another thing. It feels like this guy needs some kind of something that tanks, something that draws energy, because running away from enemies constantly gets really, really old. But yeah, it's cool to be able to use this. Now, I haven't done this, but you can set up like predetermined combinations. So if you hit like tab, it'll automatically allocate points, like AAD or whatever it is. I haven't used it. I think I used it in Van Helsing 1 and 2, but I haven't bothered setting it up here. I just kind of been doing it manually.
That would be fitting into our...
Killing all of you seems like the only sense.
We'll just pick that. But yeah, you can pretty much every ability you have can use these upgrades. However, you have to buy them first. Now the ice guy can help. The ice turret can help. Can slow them down. But again, sometimes it's not really enough. All right, let's throw an ice turret down quick and a real turret in the back. Ooh, I don't know what that's doing. Actually, yeah, I don't know what that's doing. We got another level, wow. That's pretty impressive. And it's hard for me to keep up with my rage. I kind of wish this was a little bit higher, but that's not a big deal. Yeah, we're low on health again. So odd. And this shows all your constructs that you currently have, which is nice. I like that because it lets you know how many you're down. Even though it says I only have 3 of these little guys when I've actually got 4. I don't know if the count's wrong or something, maybe? I don't know. But let's kill a little bit more.
I need healing.
Man, that one guy with the range, that guy tears you up. Go ahead and throw our... Now, I upgraded it. Wow, it died immediately. And again, this is on normal. So if you want a challenge, this will definitely be the game to play. But like I said, it definitely seems like, in general, these little guys are pretty weak. So I need summon a bunch of them. There we go. But one of the best things about them is having them surround your enemies, because then it gives you free range just to kind of shoot. Shoot. So that's roughly how the combat works. Again, keep in mind there's other classes, and you know this guy dies pretty darn easily. And again, it feels like we're maybe further along than we're supposed to be. I don't know, but that kind of gives you an idea. You know, again, like other games of this sort, there's barrels you can break and chests that you can loot and all that. So let's start digging into the mechanics a bit to see how this game is different than the others. So first, let's go ahead and just head back to town so we don't get attacked or anything unusual like that. And we'll start digging into it. This is where this game really starts to differentiate itself from other action RPGs and the amount of things that you can do to improve your character. Let's go with the basics first, since we've gotten a few levels. First, let's go over my leveling up. We'll go first off, you get your stats. You have body, dexterity, willpower, and luck, which is basically your melee damage and your hit points. Dexterity is range damage and your dodge. Willpower is your mana and how much like your skills do, like your like special abilities and stuff, spell power basically. And luck is magical items, gold, dodging, and hit chance. And you can see all your stats here: spell power, defense, your resistances, all that good stuff. I've been putting a lot of points in body just because we tend to die so much. In fact, pretty much on average, I've put in at least 1 point in body every single level. We've actually got quite a few points. It tells you your total points up here. I've only had that many because I haven't leveled in a while because I was saving them to show you. This character is more dexterity. Your pets do inherit your dexterity and body skills. So improving those not only improves you, but your pets as well. And since this is a very pet-heavy class, probably a good idea to do that. So here's your skills. Now, this is where it gets a little complicated, and I'm going to do my best to explain it. I don't think it's that complicated once you understand it, but I'm just hoping I don't butcher it. So here we have all of our different activatable skills. And let's take the Dismember Bot pack. This is those little roly-poly looking enemies that you summon. First of all, to unlock it, well, you do start with like 3 or 4 skills. But some of these things, like this, for example, I'd have to purchase with skill points. Purchasing a skill or leveling a skill up takes 2 skill points. So let's say that since we got so many skill points, what I'll do is I'll say I want to buy this platform overdrive. This is your gun platform skills cool down faster for 10 seconds. Yeah, let's pick that just to show you here. And you see it takes 2 points, and now it unlocks this skill. And now I can go down here and assign this skill to my hotbar. Now, let's look at something I've already got upgraded so you can get an idea of what that looks like. So here's our skill, the Dismember Bot pack. Up here are the power-ups, and again, it's probably got a different official name, but I call them power-ups. This is what I was talking about before, where you spend rage to both activate and you can make them even better. So here we have Constructor Frenzy, 1 more mechanical ally is created. This one has, when a mechanical ally is destroyed, there's a 20% chance that a new one's created instantly. And the third one, the mechanical allies have a 5% chance to stun their enemies with each attack. Now, when you're doing power-ups, you can only do 3 points total. So you could put all points into one, you could put 1 point into each, or some kind of mismatch, or mix match therein. That's where it can get really complicated. So it's like, okay, I want 2 extra bots, but I want there to be a 20% chance that when one of them dies, it comes right back. So normally you'd have to hit AA. If you have enough rage, you have to hit AAS and then cast it. Now again, you can use these like this tab for the combos and stuff. Again, I haven't really used that a lot, but it's I remember using it in other Van Helsings, and it does make things a little bit smoother, so you don't have to push all that while you're right in the middle of combat. So those are the power-ups. Now here are just general passive upgrades for these units. So here we have, for example, mechanical allies have additional health. This one is they move faster. This one decreases the casting cooldown, and this one increases their damage. You'll also notice these say minimum skill level required is 7. If you look here, you can also see that I can level up this skill. Right now it's level 4. And if you look over here on the left-hand side, it tells you how much you get from leveling up. Right now, they're doing 59 to 79. If I upgrade, they'll do 63 to 82, and they'll also do 168% of my weapon damage, which I think is the same thing. This is just doing the calculation, I think. But yeah, so I can, let's see, what level are they now? I need level 7, forget that. But, you know, I can push this, and again, it takes 2 points to level this up, but they are going to be better. And, you know, I can, again, click down here, or right click if I don't want it anymore. I think, but once you've closed out of here, once you've committed, it's stuck. However, you can reset your skills and auras later on with an NPC. So if you find out you spent points in a way you don't like here, you can reset those. I believe that works for both you and Katarina's skills as well, which we'll cover that in a bit. So that's how that works. Now you also have passive auras. You get more auras as you level up. Actually, this just unlocked at level 10, so I'll definitely want to put something here. I want to unlock some kind of aura. This is the one you start with. Your mechanical allies get a bonus to their health and their damage. Again, you can level this up. You can level these auras up, and all of these are passive. That's the big difference. So you can't power these up, anything like that. However, as you can see, they do themselves have passive upgrades. So for example, at level 5, I could change this to say mana cost of all mechanical ally creation is decreased by 10%. So these also have their own upgrades that you can spend points on. Both of these, everything in both of these tabs shares skill points. There's not different resources for each. So you have to decide, do you want to spend more on your skills, more on your auras, which I don't think you really even can. You can't have that many auras. But you're going to have to balance that out, and I like that. I like that you can either buy more skills or increase upon the ones that you already have. And again, it's up to you to decide how you want to do that, how that best fits your playstyle. So that's skills. We've you know, I'm just gonna go ahead and spend my skill points here, just for the heck of it, just so they're out of the way. And it only takes 1 to unlock the power up, which is pretty nice. But again, remember, these power ups are not all the time; they're only when you use rage. The next we have perks. Perks are unlocked by reputation. You get reputation from killing nasty enemies, basically. It's kind of a special experience bar that only works for bosses and things of that nature. So you can see my perks that I've already gotten here. I'm trying to upgrade Lady Katrina because the other ones, frankly, weren't that impressive. 1 mana per hit, minus 10% mana cost of all my abilities, 5 dexterity, 5% dodge, things of that nature you can pick up here. Unique perks that are available here. In fact, receive additional inventory page, which is pretty nice. We'll go ahead and just pick white again, just because I think we still got one more. Let's see, I can get plus 5 rage, plus 1 mana. Let's just go dexterity just for the heck of it. Again, I'm not really going to plan on playing this character long term, just kind of showing you guys how that works. So that is your upgrade system. There's also glory, but glory doesn't unlock until your max level. And then instead of getting experience, you get glory, which has its own perks. And here's kind of the glory abilities. And this is similar. Again, make a comparison to Diablo. It's similar to how Paragon levels work in Diablo. So that's how the glory works. Again, you can only unlock that once you've hit max level, which I believe is 60. Now there's Katarina as well. She's not just there for, you know, the quest, be a snarky quest person. She's with you all the time. She's like a permanent pet, if you will, if she would allow me to call her that. So she has her own stats, which we have. Wow, we have a lot of stat points to spend here. So go ahead and just spin them here. She's got the same type of stats, body, dexterity, luck. So we're just going to spin those. Now, one interesting, she has her own inventory. She wears items. She also has behavior. Now, this is pretty cool. You can have different appearances, ranged, melee, or ghost. Ghost, she can't take damage, but she gives you kind of a passive bonus. You can also, have her defend, assist, attack the weakest creature, or attack the one that's most vulnerable to her specific types of attack. You can also have her pick up items. So if I say, I want you to pick up, the lower stuff, like essences and normal items, and I can also say, put a value limit, so she will pick up any items cheaper than this value. So if a normal item drops, but it's worth 10,000 and I put 500 in here, she won't pick that up, so that, I don't miss it. And we'll go over what else you can do with her later. She also has her own 3 skill trees. More of, she has like a protection type tree, more of a damage one. And this one, these are kind of like support. It's like she heals you with each attack. She paralyzes on range, stuff like that. So she has her own skill trees to go through, which I think is really, really cool. So we'll go ahead and close that out. The other cool thing that you can do with her, which I can't show you right now because we're in town, is you can send her to town to sell your items. So if you're getting overburdened, you can drop all your items on her and she will go back to town and sell those and come back in like a minute, I think. Lastly, to cover with her, you can set this bar here, and if she goes below that, if she has any health potions, she will restock. She'll also, you can also set her to buy, when she goes to town, buy more health potions, but I haven't really messed with that. But again, nice, just nice because they let you keep in the action without having to come back into town. So let's talk about item forging. Now this is a pretty cool little system here. So let's grab, say, my belt. Let's say, you know what, I don't really like the stats on this belt. I'm going to put that here. And let's say I got some other items that I want to see if I can grab those stats. Let's see, we're going to put this ring, and it doesn't have to be the same type. Obviously, I'm going to put these boots, and we'll put this beak amulet. So, and the way this works, to my understanding, is basically, as it says here, the item in the slot will randomly lose half of its enchantment, but it will inherit randomly chosen enchantments from the source items. So if I didn't like anything on here, it's like, okay, it's a safe bet. I'm not going to wear this stuff anyway. The stats are too bad, but I like some of the abilities. I can say, okay, let's see if I get a decent item here. We have what? Poison damage reduction, dexterity, luck, willpower, and mana. So now we have willpower, mana per hit, elemental resistance, and poison resist. And of course, I think we can do that over and over if we wanted to. In fact, we'll try it. Also, you don't have to fill every single thing in here, but for each item in the slot, there's a 10% chance that the forged item gains an extra enchantment. So it actually, I guess you can't. I guess once it's been upgraded, you can't do it again. So you probably want to use 3 items if you can, just to increase your chances of getting that extra slot. So that is forging. Next up is alchemy. And again, I apologize, there's a lot of talking in this one. Not much action, ironically, in an action RPG. But again, I think a lot of what we want to talk about is what makes this game stand out as an action RPG and what you're going to be getting into when you play this game. So we have enchanting. If you look, some items like this have a little purple bar. So what you can do is, I think it goes in the top right. Place the item you want to infuse. Yes. Here. What is this one? Oh, okay, that's right. So purple means an essence capacity. Now, essence is interesting. I like the way they do essences. Basically, you get these essences, and they have a cost. So this has a 5 essence cost. This has a 7. We can put as many essences in here up to the capacity, which I really like the way that's its system. It feels more free. You're not limited by like the shape of the slot or the type of slot. You can do whatever you want as long as you don't go over your essence capacity. And if you see here, it's kind of standard stuff. If we put this in weapon, it gives us 10% magic item find. In armor, it's a +2 luck. In an accessory, it's a 5% gold chance. And when you put it over here, it will show you both how much essence you have left. So we have 5 out of 17, and we'll also get a 5% gold find chance. Since this is an accessory. There's a small cost to it, and then you insert it, and that's it. Now, if you want to get rid of that, you can go in here. Is it right there? I can't see because my Bandicam my Dextory is in the way. Combine. Oh, you can also combine essences, which is pretty neat. I think you can even combine different types. Or maybe you can't. I thought I got this to work before. Yeah, okay. I don't know how it determines if you can or cannot increase, or if you can combine them. I think they have to be the same level. Something like that. I forget how that works. Hold on, let me see here. Like I said, there's so many different mechanics. I was having a hard time remembering what was what. How is that? That turns into 2 mana per hit, as opposed to poison damage bonus and fire damage bonus. So I'm gonna guess there's some kind of like rhyme or reason to how that worked. I thought that worked in such that you upgrade. Actually, you know what? That might be this. Maybe. Yes. So this is an interesting one. This is like using another essence of another type to improve this essence. So you'll notice here for weapon, this has 5% crit damage. If I add this essence because I don't want this one's crappy, I can take this from 5 crit to 12% crit. That's really cool. Again, you're not limited to like the type of. You don't have to have the exact same type of essence to combine them to make a better one. You can use another one that you aren't using, which again, I like that. You'll also notice the essence cost goes up. But we'll go ahead and combine those. And now we have a pretty nice item here, plus 12% crit damage. Not too bad. We can also dismantle items. Let's see, separates an item from an essence it was previously infused with. Both items and the essences survive. So I don't know why I can't. Oh, there it goes. It wasn't working before. But yeah, now I can go ahead and split my item from the essence in case I want to. It's like if I decide that was not a good idea. It's pretty, well, semi, kind of, sort of costly. So you probably don't want to do it willy-nilly. But the option is there, which will please a lot of folks. Because a lot of people don't like to lose their enchantments unless they really have to. So here's another interesting aspect of this game. You have the command post. Basically what you can do is you can send off, you'll get these quests like Under Siege here, and it'll give you a description, and I won't go into it too much, but in a nutshell how this works is you have commanders and you can send them with troops that you can upgrade by either spending gold, you can upgrade their equipment, like I can upgrade the equipment for 2,000 per, basically making my army better and better, which makes it easier or more certain to do these missions, and you get various rewards from doing these missions. Again, that's giving a very broad overview of how this works, and you can see our overall army strength up here. But it's a cool little extra in that it will, like I say, it will kind of give you a money dump, while at the same time giving you more items. I forgot, I only did one of these. I forgot what reward I got for that. But again, it's one of those cool little things, and it takes like a while, so like 30 minutes later, you'll find out if it was successful or not based on the leader you sent. Like there's different leaders, but will handle the situation different ways. Like one might storm the gates, while another suggests being stealthy and attacking from the rear. And I'm gonna guess in some situations, certain approaches probably have higher chances of working. So here's the Chimera. So the Chimera doesn't just randomly drop loot. The way the Chimera works, again, is quite interesting. Is that one, it feeds off essences. So let's go ahead and give it some food. It's at 84%. But you also send it on missions as well. Not really missions. You send it to hunt. And as you click on these things at the bottom here, you can see what your rewards will be. Experience, gold, the chances of getting magic, I suppose. And it also has the danger. So basically the chances that the Chimera will fail. Now he won't die as far, I don't believe he'll die, but if he gets injured, it takes him longer to recover. Therefore, you can't send him on another mission again. So higher risk, higher reward, and the Chimera also levels. So that's something to keep in mind. So that's pretty cool. Let's actually send him on a mission. Just go hunt. There he goes. He didn't want to make any noise. You have a stash, and there's a quest that I'm not going to grab right now, but they do have a stash, like a bank, and it is shared between accounts, or characters, rather. So if you find something nice, like another character might be able to use, you can do that. There's general vendors as well. There's also, and I'm going to show you him right over here, there's also a random vendor, like a gambling vendor.
I miss the wind and
Oh no,
the
that's the
sun.
guy who resets your
freedom.
points. So he does reset perks. He'll reset everything, it looks like, which is cool. I like that. I don't really like when you can't reset certain things.
Good cause.
So let's say we see some items here. Wow, this is kind of expensive. 4K, 3K. Yeah, let's see what we can get. We didn't get anything. What? Is it because my... Oh, because I'm not looking at the right inventory screen. So basically, you just see an item like, oh, gloves, and you click on them, and hopefully you'll get better items. Actually, that is pretty good. I'm gonna wear those. So that's how the gambling guy works, and I think that's pretty much everybody. There's some other general vendors who sell weapons and amulets and stuff like that that you might want to check out. Also, the enchanter. There's also the enchanter. I think this is the last way to upgrade. You can also transmute, by the way, to change the way an item looks. But here is the enchanting. We'll put our chest on here, and we'll enchant. It's 944, so let's do it. It gives a random enchant, 3% physical reduction. We can also replace it if we don't like that one. I don't know how this works. So if I pick, let's say I pick 3% physical reduction, replace it. You can only replace one enchantment on each item. If you choose this one, all the others, if any, will remain the way they are. Yeah, let's just say yes. So what if I pick on there again? So I guess it's that slot in particular they mean that you're replacing. I think that's what they mean. And this can be randomized. So if you want to, oh, yeah, this is much better than the damage reduction. I want that. You can do that. I'm going to guess. Yeah, you can. Cool. Okay, basically every time you spend money, it changes. Oh, and the price goes up as well. So you'll want to keep that in mind while you're doing that. So that is, as far as I know, all the different ways to upgrade your character. Again, that's a lot of stuff and a lot to kind of wrap your head around. And again, I apologize if it wasn't exactly the most entertaining thing in the world. But again, I want you to kind of understand how all of that works. So let's end by let's go kill some more enemies here real quick. Hopefully not get completely destroyed again. Let's talk about the end game while we kind of wrap up here, because a lot of folks want to know what happens at the end game. From what I've read, I have not got a character to max. This is my highest level character. It's level 10. And I will go through character creation so you can see the other classes as well. But like I said, I just want to get a little bit more killing in before we go on. But the end game works like this. When you hit max, again, you stop getting experience, but you start getting glory. Glory is, again, if you've played Diablo, it sounds a lot like Paragon levels, where you go up Paragon levels and you can pick like what you want to spend your points on. Uh-oh, I forgot my little guys weren't summoned. But oh god, this is gonna be bad. But you gain glory, and to upgrade like your criticals and all that other stuff. We kind of looked at that very briefly. Surprising, we actually did not die there somehow. Also, there is... Oh, what's the other thing? There's another thing. Oh, there's two game modes. One, there's Endless... It's called... I don't quite know what it's called this. But it's called Endless Scenario. Endless Scenario, the way I read it, at least, works such that... It's like a very difficult version of the regular scenario. Oh, wow. Well, that's a bummer. It works like a regular version of the scenario, except it's much harder, and they've specifically said they don't anticipate you to be able to beat it. So that's probably a pretty good challenge for those of you who are looking for something very, very difficult. Need healing. Let's still up another one of those. I put extra rage points in there. Throw up another rocket launcher. I'm frozen. Freeze these guys out. You gotta pull them back. Gotta keep remembering to make this ice turret. It just spawns so quick. I'm gonna make some more minions. I put rage into it to summon some more of them. Looks like this is our yellow guy, the Hollow King. Throw another thing up there. That freezes you apparently. I should probably stop standing in that. I'm gonna try to finish. Keeps freezing me. I want to kill the lesser ones first.
I need healing.
Whoop, nope, that's gonna be it. It's gonna be me. I can't move out. Oop. Run back, run back. Ha! That little beam that follows you. That's not good. Oh god. All right, let's run away. Let's bravely run away. But anyway, yeah, I need to stop fighting because I keep distracting myself from explaining what happens. In this scenario, you're not supposed to beat it. You get a lot more items, and it's much tougher. There's also, let me see what it was called. Now I've forgotten where it's at. Oh, I think it's under the journal, yes. So there is the never-ending story. Okay, never mind. So scenarios. You can access them from the main menu. There's 6 scenario levels. There's like special rules that you can tick. That seems pretty interesting. Like you can pick how many, I guess, modifiers you can have, and each modifier makes it more difficult, but you're given better rewards, better items, probably more glory, things along that level. So that's pretty cool as well. So there's some stuff to do once you are in the end game. So let's actually go ahead and close out of here. I want to show the different classes. As much as I've like tried to speed through this and tried to cover everything, there's more here than I was able to cover. Like I say, you know, given the amount of time I wanted to cover on this game and how long people would probably listen, I really couldn't cover everything. So it feels like there's definitely a lot to go through there. Can I not make another character? Maybe? Oh yeah, change character. Here we go. You want to create. So there's a protector who is basically kind of like a paladin or warrior. We have the classic bounty hunter. We have an elementalist, which is, you know, again, caster, very, very easy to die, which, God, but that's probably pretty rough. Umbralist, who is kind of like a rogue fighting a hit-and-run tactics. That's the one I almost went with. But as soon as I saw Constructor, I knew I had to try that one. This one's pretty cool as well. The Phlogistoneer. Expert of weird science and a machine suit, armor with short and medium range heavy weapons, several types of mines, brute military force, can call artillery strikes, launch rocket barrages, cluster bombs, and thwart attacks with firepower. So that sounds pretty neat as well. But then the Constructor is what I ended up going with, which, like I say, is pretty fun for the most part. But your little dudes, your little robots die so fast. And the respawn, especially, or the recast at least, on the little roly-poly looking guys is really high. And even if you spend points to lower it, it's still pretty darn high. So it feels like if you get unlucky and they get hit by like a nasty AE right off the bat shortly after summoning, you're going to have to be running away a whole lot because enemies will just completely ignore everything else and make a beeline straight for you. And as you saw, you tend to die very, very, very quickly in the wrong circumstances. But that was the incredible Van Helsing 3. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave comments in the comment section below if you like this video and if you've tried playing this game or others. One thing I do need to warn you about ahead of time, there has been some bugginess with the game. I haven't had too many problems. Before this recent patch, I used to crash every time I alt-tabbed out. However, that seems to be fixed. I'm not having that problem anymore. However, I do have a weird problem whenever I start the game. It takes like 30 seconds for the game to start. Like there's a black screen with an hourglass, and about 30 seconds later the game starts. And I've heard some other people having the issues as well. Some other people are having crashing issues and other bugs. So you might be a little wary that these things might cause a problem for you. I mean, there's always going to be bugs no matter what. But I saw more reports of them than is typical. And again, luckily, those two things that I mentioned are the only ones that I ran into a problem with. So keep that in mind. Your experiences may differ, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you next time.